My girlfriend decided to punish me, and now I want to break up. This happened last night, so it's still fresh and I'm still working out what to say or feel. I'll start by saying I've had a very rough week to begin with, ultimately ending in me quitting my job of 3 years and not amicably, and overall having a very hard time of it. My girlfriend goes to college right now, while I'm about to start as a firefighter in a city near me. She was going to a college Halloween party last night, and invited me to go. I'm not a huge partier and I'm not in college, so I didn't have a strong inclination to go. However, she offered to buy my costume and she told me it would be okay if I decided not to go. This was all well and good. I decided I would end up going because she was excited about it and wanted me to go. The party was the night of my last day at work, so I was already in a rough mood to begin with. I show up with my roommate, and the first thing my girlfriend says is to ask about her outfit. She had already been drinking when we arrived. I tell her it looks good, and we go into the party. Mind you, I drove, so both my roommate and I aren't drinking. Only my girlfriend. Initially I wasn't super happy to be there, and I was excited to go home. She got upset with me and told me I didn't have to come if I was going to be grumpy the whole time. Essentially she gets upset with me because I was grumpy and was dampening her fun, and she refuses to speak to me or even look at me throughout the whole night. I tried to talk to her but she wouldn't even turn to talk to me. I eventually gave up and ended up standing in the corner with my roommate until it was time to leave. Earlier in the day she promised me she wouldn't drink that much and that she's keep it contained. I stood in the aforementioned corner and watched her get absolutely annihilated. Blackout, stumbling and falling over, basically nonverbal. At one point her friends came over and started grilling and interrogating me, with one threatening to beat my ass. I had never met these people. I'm fending off her friends while she stands 10 feet away and turns her back to it, not saying anything to her friends or me. I texted her this morning and asked what the F happened and she initially starts attacking me. She tells me the reason she broke her promise and got blackout drunk was because she was mad at me. To get back at me. To punish me. Should I break yo with her over this? It just feels like she's willing to throw away everything because her fun is more important to her than I am. Comment. Older female here, but, yes. This. She's not serious and just too young. She should have acknowledged your situation and ensured you had a good time by introducing you to people she thought you would have fun chatting with before taking care of her own party needs. She should have brought you up and toned herself down. If you still weren't feeling the party, you could have left and made sure she had a ride home. Then she could have partied however she wanted. Move on to someone you could appreciate who will appreciate you. It's a two-way street. He's folding his arms pouting like a child in a corner when he could just leave any time. She wasn't a prime adult at all, but saying he's at a more mature stage or isn't acting like an 18-year-old in a relationship is laughable. Sorry, but if my GF, regardless of how she is acting, is blackout drunk at a party, I'm not leaving her there like that. All you have to do is read a few stories on here to see how that turns out a lot. He was being mature by trying to keep an eye on her, despite her and her friends' childish behavior. Her friends are there attacking him for some reason unknown to Op, but most likely due to something she told them, and she is actively refusing to talk to him. If they are so concerned about her, they can take her home. And pray tell, what would you do about getting home? The girl is blackout drunk and he was the one who drove them there. In your mind, adult men are supposed to leave anytime they are angry. In real world, people have to live and face consequence of actions. Leaving would have been much more childish. Leaving her alone at the party would have been a breakup, being the bad guy, and very irresponsible. Where does it say he's folding his arms pouting? I see it as since she refuses to speak to him, he is dutifully waiting in the company of his roommate for her to be done or ready to talk to him. He's just not mingling. He's waiting it out. It's also clear from his own retelling that she didn't get blackout drunk until after the being grumpy and not leaving when it's noticed him's grumpy to be there. It sounds like you've had experiences taking care of girlfriends who were blackout drunk, but this was not that case per the original poster's own original story. I encourage all people here to stay with people who are blackout drunk if you went to the party with them. If they have other friends, you don't need to be like some sort of security guard, and acting like a big grump is not necessary nor even the most effective way to take care of a drunk person. Your behavioral approach is all about shaming. If that's you, you need to stay away from people who get blackout drunk in the first place. Don't put yourself in that situation if you can't handle it with grace. She was already there when he got there. So she got there, she could have gotten back in many ways. Also, what are you talking about with everything else? Adult men don't pout in a corner and make a bigger issue. He didn't feel great, he should have nut up and told her I'm not going instead of dragging himself there and being a dark cloud. In real world people have to live and face consequence of actions. Yeah, he's thinking about breaking with his GF because of the actions they both took. Story 2. Is it possible for me and my husband to save our marriage? There is a semi-long and complex backstory to our relationship. We met and fell in love and fell pregnant by accident. Our birth control failed, very early on. We are from different countries and needed to get a visa in order for him to move to my country. This was agreed to be the correct way around for us. I have a job that keeps me here and he was interested in leaving his home and job and doing something new. So we got married when I was 8 months pregnant and then he moved to my country shortly after. We now have a gorgeous 14-month-old daughter. My husband is a wonderful dad. He is a good person, but he has not been in many relationships and has done a number of things that have really upset me. These include: on our wedding day we had a bit of a garden party even though it was about the paperwork. I was 8 months pregnant and had a nap in the middle of the day. They served the food and nobody saved me a plate, there was nothing left when I woke up. He got super drunk with his friends that night and ended up not coming back with me to the Airbnb we were staying in. I was incredibly upset about this and he said he'd do something to make up for it but never did. There was a ring in his family that was then to go to me as his wife. It didn't fit and he said he would get it resized. I had to remind him maybe 5 or 6 times and he did it eventually on the last day possible. We were in his country and he wanted to do it there. The first birthday of mine we were together, he did nothing at all. He went to a shop the day of and came back with some unwrapped things after I got grumpy about it. There's a bit of a theme of nice things only happening after I get upset. I only get flowers or a meal when we have had an argument. The first Mother's Day with the baby I knew he wouldn't know the date. A week before I said I just want to let you know it's Mother's Day next week so you have it in mind, and his response was, "So, you're not my mother." I worked on a creative project when I was 18 and it was printed. I have some copies of it in boxes in our cupboard. He felt they were taking up too much space and he binned them all. Binning my things is a bit of a theme too. He will throw away a cup of tea I've made for myself or just get rid of something I'm keeping without asking. He's very clean and tidy and so he gets frustrated when he sees something he feels is mess or clutter. He's really just not used to being romantic or doing gestures, but it's very much my love language and I have really struggled with not having it. I feel like I can't live the rest of my life not feeling truly loved in the way I have clearly expressed that I need. I'm a big communicator and have brought this up many times. I've asked us to go on a break. He wants to make it work and feels bad about having hurt me in the past. He is a sweet guy and I know that is not malicious. But even so, I feel like the lack of romantic gestures has damaged my self-esteem because it makes me feel like I'm not worth doing nice things for. So I feel like either I have accepted all these sad moments in the past and feel like I don't deserve more than that, or I say screw you, I'm worth loving properly, so goodbye. Is there a third option? I want to make it work. I come from divorced parents and I would love my baby to have a safe, solid home and not grow up like I did. We are good parents and get along well on a day-to-day basis. I just feel like there have been too many times when I have hoped for something special to happen and it didn't. Comment. Ma'am, what you are describing is he doesn't like you. He may be a good dad, but y'all are only together because he felt pressured to marry you. He doesn't care about what you like, thinks even your cup of tea takes up too much space. It sounds like individual counseling would serve you better, because he should not be living with you post-binning a project you had had for 9 years. I would not have been able to get past him not having you a plate. That hurt my feelings just to read. Honestly, him as a capable person, knowing how many times you've brought it up, he doesn't care enough to try to change. People are capable of change but they have to want to change in order for it to happen, and he doesn't seem to care the effect this has on you, so isn't doing much. People will move mountains for causes they care about. He shouldn't have to relate to it to want to change. You feeling hurt and unfulfilled should be enough. I would suggest individual and couples therapy if he agrees to put in more effort. I second the recommendation for marriage counseling. The fact is you two never got the chance to develop your relationship before you jumped headfirst into parenthood and a committed marriage that was made extra complicated by having to navigate immigration. You both went through some massive changes in a very short time span, your husband more so than you. I absolutely recommend he does individual counseling along with you both going to counseling as a couple. You also need to start being very direct. i.e., husband, I would really appreciate it if you would ask me before throwing something away that isn't yours, as there are some things of sentimental value you may not recognize as such. Or husband, I know I'm not your mother, but I'm your daughter's mother, and just as I will do something special for you on Father's Day because of our child, I would appreciate a nice gesture. Clarifying your expectations will help quite a bit. It's not that he is unromantic. It's that he doesn't care and is selfish. People can change, but they have to want to, and it takes a lot of work. He doesn't appear to want to change. This is why it is always bad marrying someone too quickly, and having a kid so early makes it worse. You're allowed to want to split from someone who isn't violent or abusive. This relationship won't work out long term. You're gonna grow more resentful. You'll also be modeling an unhealthy relationship and dysfunctional family unit to your kid, which will set the tone for their future relationships as well. Marriage counseling wouldn't be a bad thing just to get everything out on the table as a last-ditch effort with a non-biased party. I did marriage counseling with my now ex once he got out of rehab. I knew it was not likely to be successful, but it was still a good thing to discuss everything that had happened over the years while he was an active drunk. Talking to an active drunk is useless, so it helped make sense of a lot of things that happened in the past. If he's not nope to counseling, them for sure don't waste any more time on this guy. You can't change him, only he can, but he has to want to. It doesn't sound like there's room for you in his life, let alone a kid. Everything has to be the way he wants it, and your needs don't matter. I don't think that's something that can be fixed without him deciding to fix it on his own and holding himself accountable, and I just don't see him doing that based on what you posted. You deserve better. You deserve to be loved the way you need to be loved and deserve to be loved. This guy isn't it? I mean, come on, he bailed on your wedding night?